Hello, my juicy jelly beans. Today, I thought we could do something that is fun and best of all is that it sells like hotcakes. My first video, I made these. Wow, that was 2 years ago and it feels like yesterday. I was so nervous. So let's have some fun with 10 effects and these molds. They come in 6 different designs, but I'm only going to choose 4. As you can see, I have lots of them because I used to make loads. I would turn them into brooches, pendants, keychains, phone holders, magnets, etc., etc., etc. Plus, here's a tip for you. How many times have you had leftover resin? Well, these are perfect for that. You can leave them prepared, and when you've made too much resin, you can cook these out. For resin, I'll be using my favorite from Artline. This is the crystal, and it's really low viscosity. Perfect to avoid getting bubbles in those pesky areas. I love this stuff. I'll be using this for all the molds, so you won't see me pouring them as I will be doing it once I have them all coloured in. And I'm going to be showing you the effect and the end result from 1 to 10. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is the teeth. I'm going to use J Addiction High Viscosity UV Resin, a disposable cup, some white alcohol ink, and a silicone tool, and a UV torch. Pour some UV resin into your cup and a few drops of pigment. Mix it in. Grab your first mold and begin to fill in the teeth area. You'll need to do it in sections and layers as it will move and slide around. Cure with your UV torch as you go along. Once completed, then cure under a double-sided UV lamp for about a minute. Then do the other 9. Oh yes, that would be me. Next up, I'm going to do the tongue to this one mold that I have. With the leftover white UV resin, add a bit more UV resin. Add a few drops of opaque pink and a few drops of hot pink. Mix it all in and laugh at how gorgeous this colour is, but doesn't look anywhere like a tongue colour. So I added an opaque soft tangerine colour and made it worse. Okay, so how about honey colour? Okay, so I had to scrap that bundle because too much pigment will not let the UV resin cure properly. So I started again. A bit of high viscosity UV resin, a bit of opaque flamingo, a bit of red wine, a bit of Bloody Mary, and lastly, a few drops of honey. Why not? Mix it all in. Okay, it's getting there, but it needs a bit more red wine. Okay, I give up. I'm going with this colour. It looks like I've it looks like I added a bit more Bloody Mary than I need. Grab your mold and begin to coat the whole tongue. You'll need to do the same as with the teeth, in sections and curing as you go along. Once completed, cure under a double-sided UV lamp for about a minute. Once you have all the teeth and the tongue prepared, we will now start with the effects. This is the one I'm going to use, and these are the colours I'm going for. 3 different shades of blue and some pearlescent white. Add a few drops of the white into a small bowl, then add a few drops of water. Grab an old toothbrush and dunk it into the pigment. Splatter the white all over the inside of the mold. Next up, we're going to go in with the blues. The middle shade will be the first around the teeth area. Next up, we'll use the lighter shade of blue. Make sure you blend the colours as you go. And lastly, we need to add the darkest blue. I used Artline resin with the white pigment for the backing, and it's ready to demold. Here's the end result. Simple, yet so stunning. I'm turning all of mine into brooches because customers have told me that they always get compliments. For this next effect, we're going to brush on some black chrome pigment onto the horns. You don't have to use the same colours, it's totally optional. Plus, every effect today can be done in any colour you prefer. Next up, you'll need a soft blending brush and some goldish pigment. Colour the whole mould. Make sure to burnish the colour really well. This one will be backed in outline and black pigment. It's ready to demold. Now we're going to give it the bling bling. I'm going in with the caramelish UV nail colour. This will give it a beautiful sheen and contrast. Brush a thin layer all over the lips and cure under a double-sided UV lamp for about 2 minutes. Once cured, you'll then need to clean off the exhibition layer with some isopropyl alcohol. Next up, you'll need to add a small amount of UV resin into a disposable cup. Brush on a thin layer of the UV nail colour we just used and cure under a UV lamp. This will protect that caramelish pigment. Now for the decoration. I'm going to use black stamping UV gel, but you could make your own using normal high viscosity resin and some black pigment. I'm not going to lie, I had to cut corners because I was pressed for time. Grab a silicone tool and begin to do tiny weird looking kidney shapes and a few dots here and there. Do the upper and lower lip. Yes, this was my very first bad attempt at doing leopard print. Do not cure. I'm adding some clear acrylic powder. This will give the spots a matte look and a great contrast against the glossy gold. Everything I'm using today will be linked in the description box. Sprinkle the powder over the black spots. I added a piece of paper under it so it can be put back into the pot. Once you're done, cure it with a UV torch for about a minute and then dust off the excess with a soft brush. Do the same to the bottom lip using the same method. Once you've completed it, cure under a double-sided UV lamp for about a minute. I then ran it under some water to get all the dust off. Not bad for the first time. It could be worse. For this next effect, I've already prepared my outline resin and poured it into my mould, 2/3 up, and 1/3 into a disposable cup. These moulds take 30 grams of resin. In the disposable cup, I'm using some non-sink Aurora from Into Resin. I want a bluish one. You need to mix these pigments in really well to avoid blobs of unmixed pigment. Leave them both to warm up a bit so that they get thicker. You'll know it's ready because it's a lot gloopier. Now we add the content into a mould. I drizzled it in. Use a stick to push it down and towards the edges so it won't stay in just one spot. Top up the whole mould and leave it to completely cure. This is cured and we now need to add some chrome top coat UV. You only need a thin layer. This will help the pigment we use to adhere to the resin. Cure it under a UV lamp for 30 seconds only. For the pigment, I'm going to go for some greenish blue chameleon flakes. With a soft brush, brush the flakes onto the back. And as you can see, the flakes go on nicely, no patches, nice and intense. I then went on to fill the mould with outline and black pigment and I left it to cure. Ready to demold. I need to cut off the overpour. This effect is so stunning, it changes with the sunlight. For this next effect, I decided to colour the mould in holographic silver. The horns, I used the black chrome. This holographic pigment is lush. I then backed it up with outline and white pigment. This is ready for the next step. I've already fluffed up my bubbles. I prepared some J Addiction high viscosity UV resin in a disposable cup with a few drops of black and plum inks. I like to check to see if I need to make it darker. I'm happy. So with a brush, I brushed the UV resin all over the lips. The layer mustn't be too thin nor too thick. Grab some bubbles and place them over the coloured UV. Let it sit for 10 seconds and then cure it under a double-sided UV lamp for about 30 seconds. Once done, dry it with a paper towel and then do the bottom lip and repeat the same process. I like to sand down ever so softly to eliminate the hairy spikes. Make sure to wipe it down afterwards. We now need to brush on a thin layer of the chrome top coat and cure under a double-sided UV lamp for 30 seconds only. For the wow factor, we need to brush some Aurora pigment over the chrome top coat. This has pinks, oranges and gold. I just go weak at the knees for Auroras. Use your fingers to varnish in the colour. I then gave it a top coat with J. Diction High Viscosity UV resin. I just love this effect. When I grow up, I want to be an Aurora pigment. This one I made with Artline and added a bluish purple opaque ink to get the colour. I'm shortening and editing out the pouring and mixing because you know how to do it and I don't want you to hate me because I'll cry if you do. Mary loves her jelly bean family. So I'm adding a chrome top coat, a thin layer, remember to cure for only 30 seconds. Now we need to dust the Aurora pigment all over the lips. Guys, you really should invest in this product. It's fantastic. And in the long run, you will save on pigments and flakes. Plus, it's easy to use and your work will come out perfect and not patchy. Use your fingertips to varnish it in. Looking familiar? Same colour as my nails. Well, I never. To set the pigment, we need to give it a top coat of UV resin, then cure under a double-sided UV lamp. This was a simple one, but yet so effective. For this effect, I didn't colour the teeth white, as I'm going to use Artline and white pigment. Pour the resin all the way to the top and let it cure. For colour, I'm using glow-in-the-dark pigments. You could use neon or any colour you prefer. I've chosen rainbow colours as I really love rainbows. They always put a smile on my silly face. I call this the jelly effect. We need to make this matte, so I'm going to use a matte top coat. Add a thin layer of matte top coat and cure for about 30 seconds. Begin to colour in using Q-tips and start doing lines. I like using these neons as it gives a softer, more pastel effect. But you can use any colour you prefer. And I believe I'm repeating myself. I'm tired. And yes, we could have done it straight in the mould. But I got excited and I had already poured the resin. Once done, add another matte top coat to protect the colour. Now for the jelly bean effect, I'm using this UV resin that comes in a tube. The viscosity is higher than the normal high viscosity UV resin. You could put some in a needle bottle, making sure to take out the needle as it will flow easier. I still have 4 more effects to do, so I went for the easy route. Begin to add lines, leaving a little space between each one. Cure with a UV torch for 10 seconds as you go along to avoid mishaps. Once completed, cure under a double-sided UV lamp for at least 2 minutes. And lastly, we need to lock it all in. Add a bit of J. Diction High Viscosity UV resin into a disposable cup, and with a flat brush, begin to add a thin layer all over. Cure under a double-sided UV lamp. I love this jelly effect. It even reminds me of marshmallows. For this next effect, I prepared some J. Diction High Viscosity UV resin with a really small amount of black pigment, as I want it pretty translucent. Begin to cover the whole mould with the black UV and cure with a UV torch as you go along. With this effect, I'm going for a reddish black sultry look. Once done, cure under a UV lamp for a minute or 2. Next up, I'm going to use this delish red UV nail. You could make your own using UV resin and a red pigment, but this red is stunning. Cover the whole mould and cure under a double-sided UV lamp for 2 minutes. I coloured in the horns with black chrome pigment. I prepared more outline and added some black pigment. Top up the mould and leave it to cure. This is cured and you can see the red showing through, but we're going to make it pop even more with another layer of the red UV gel. Cover the whole area of the lips. Just look how stunning this red is. Once done, cure under a UV lamp. We now need to clean off the exhibition layer. To protect the piece, we'll be using J Addiction High Viscosity UV and a disposable cup. Add a small amount into the cup and with a flat brush, coat a thin layer all over. Then cure under a UV lamp. Dark, delicious, and ever so naughty. For this effect, I poured clear outline resin into the mold and I left it to cure completely. I'm adding some chrome top coat to the back. You only need a thin layer. Cure under a UV lamp for 30 seconds. I've decided to use some green flakes for the backing. I then backed it with some black UV resin to make the flakes pop. Just look how the colours change with movement. I was going to do something else on the top, but I'm kind of more tempted to leave it as it is. Any overpour, just snip it off. I ended up leaving it as it is because it is stunning. This effect is a simple one, but very effective. I'm coating the whole mold in a beautiful silver holographic pigment. Use a soft brush and make sure to burnish it in really well. I used my art line with white pigment to fill up the mold. I love the holographic. Think I might just do my nails with this pigment. Next up, I've already prepared and mixed some UV resin and a few drops of plum alcohol ink. Begin to cover the lips in a really thin layer. If you get some by accident inside the teeth area, just use a Q-tip to clean it up. Once done, cure under a UV lamp. They look so pretty, and when the sun hits it, all the colours of the rainbow come through. Big thank you to all my jelly beans and a big thank you to my members. All proceeds go towards materials for the channel. Don't forget that we will soon be having a giveaway of the new Resiners Light Air Purifier. So don't forget to hit the notification button so not to miss out. And for the members, I have an extra little surprise too. There'll also be a giveaway of the big frog mold that everyone is having a hard time getting. So thank you. Thank you all for being part of the Jelly Bean family. You mean the world to me and I love you so much. For this last effect, I used outline and white pigment to fill up the mold. Now that it's cured, we are going to add a thin layer of matte UV, making sure to avoid the teeth area. Once done, cure under a UV lamp for 30 seconds. We need it matte for the next step, as we need texture so that the pigment stays on. The colours I've chosen are fuchsia, purple and gold alcohol inks. The first colour we'll start off with is the fuchsia. Use a small flat brush. Dab your brush into the fuchsia and begin to paint squiggly lines all over the lips. Once done, pour some isopropyl alcohol into a disposable cup. Dip your brush into the alcohol and begin to blend out the fuchsia lines you just created. Once you're happy, it's time to go in with the purple. Do the same with the purple as you did with the first colour. Create squiggly lines here and there. Once you're happy, blend the purple with the clear alcohol. And lastly, we need to go in with the gold. Use a really thin brush to create the lines, but this time don't blend it out with clear alcohol. Once you're happy, it's time to give it a thin top coat. I'm using J Addiction High Viscosity UV resin. Once done, cure under a UV lamp. We've created a beautiful marble effect. I'm turning them all into brooches. Therefore, I have these pins which I like to use on the backs. All we need is a bit of glue. This one in particular is the B7000. Add a small amount and place the pin. Leave it to cure for at least 24 hours. I hope you've enjoyed the longest video I've ever made. Keep watching for the end results and let me know which is your favourite. Toodles!